So again, my name is Chung. I'm a program manager in the engineering team behind both CPS, Cloud Platform System, as well as Azure Stack. And I also have my colleague, Walter, here. He will be joining me today and presenting this session. Along with Walter and myself, we also have quite a few other colleagues here and also our partner representatives here as well. So in case you have any questions that we can answer, we'll always find someone with the answer for you. And today's session is about exploring Microsoft Cloud Platform System. Going forward, I'll just call it CPS. I think one of the key things that as we start talking about Azure Stack, some of the questions also pop up as to, hey, what about Azure Stack, and how does CPS related to that? So we're going to try to address both of these content today. So for some of the folks I've walked around and before the session starts, understanding is that there are some folks who are familiar with either CPS or WAP, and some probably still brand new. So I'm going to try to cover both bases. In the beginning of the slide, in the beginning of the session, I'm going to talk about, give you kind of brief overview of our cloud vision, specifically the hybrid cloud vision, and I'll introduce CPS product family. In there, hopefully some of the information you'll learn a thing or two from there, and we'll also be walking through essentially the set of in-market solution portfolio from our partners, and then we'll also give you information as to why do we believe CPS today is still relevant. What is the value for CPS to you now, as well as what is the value for customers who have specific needs can take advantage of the CPS solution today. And after that, we're going to switch gear and talk about the relationship between CPS and Azure Stack, somewhat a roadmap to indicate where does CPS land when Azure Stack comes out next year, and what's the relationship between them. Right. So that's kind of the flow, and we'll leave time at the end for Q&A again. So before we talk about our hybrid cloud vision, I wanted to kind of tell you a quick story. Right. Facebook is one of our partner, as well as our customer. Facebook is customer of our Azure platform, and they're famous. They're a successful company, and they're famous for one of the earliest company that bring together this hacker mentality, right? They promote this kind of culture in their company. And as a matter of fact, their CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, has this famous quote to say, hey, we want to move fast, and we don't mind if we broke things on our way. But the business agility is really, really important to their business model. But guess what? In 2014, it's about just 2 years ago, in their FA conference, developer conference, they have changed this model, right? Changed to what? Move fast with stable infrastructure. And what does it really mean? I think what this really means is one of the most successful businesses in the planet are facing the same challenges that you guys are facing, right? And what is the challenge? The challenge essentially is the business are moving faster than ever, and there's a fundamental tension between what the business wants from the IT infrastructure and what these central IT platform can provide to them, right? By the way, on the top, it's not just business. If you think about your developer communities, newer technologies coming out every single day, and they all want to adopt those new technologies to enable them to innovate faster, more, quicker. And the IT platform, however, is fully incentivized or motivated by what? By stability, right? So, given this kind of a challenge or this friction, we believe, from Microsoft's point of view, cloud transformation really is the answer to that. Okay, so now, if you agree that cloud is the answer to that, and you look at our current IT environment, there are roughly two buckets. On the left-hand side, you see traditional IT model. You have real time 10 years, 20 years back, There are good reasons for some applications or workload design in a way that require dedicated hardware, sometimes even custom purposely made hardware to support those applications, which is absolutely reasonable back then. But as time goes by, as business needs change, those fixed infrastructure actually causing a lot of friction in terms of enabling those IT to respond to those requests faster. Now, on the right-hand side, the cloud model gave us a lot of promises, right? Exciting new opportunities, almost seemingly unlimited capacity to expand, loosely coupled, cloud-based, called cloud-native application model, enabling DevOps capabilities. These are the future, right? But if we all agree that the cloud model is where we want to be, how do we get there, right? So it turns out that Microsoft, we are on our own cloud-first journey for many, many years. And we have fully operationalized the cloud model in our own way in our hyperscale data centers. So what we want to do is to take our learning, take our knowledge, and share that with our customers so that we can help you to shortcut your cloud journey. Now, public cloud is great. It's growing super, super fast. According to IDC, the speed of public cloud growth is 6 times more than the average market. However, public cloud is really not for everyone, or at least not for every scenarios. I think some of you are probably know better than me in the case of regulations and data sovereignty, security concerns, as well as latency and other restrictions with the public cloud offering. So what is the answer to those type of scenarios? And in Microsoft's opinion, hybrid cloud is what we believe the right answer for those cases. And we have honestly started our hybrid cloud solutions and pushing for that industry, pushing for that transformation since we introduced 2012 R2 technologies. If you recall back then, we have Server 2012 R2, System Center 2012 R2, along with Windows Azure Pack. That is a hybrid cloud solution. And today, the market has widely accepted hybrid cloud as the standard in the sense that the data from Avanar has shown more than 76% of customers, enterprise customers, believe hybrid cloud will actually help them to grow. And more than 82% enterprise customer has a hybrid cloud strategy in place by the time of 2017. So again, I think hybrid cloud is great. And that's really the future of what we think the industry across many sectors, across many use cases that people will be able to take advantage of. At the same time, we don't believe the break fix or band-aid solution where you put something temporarily together to put together a band-aid hybrid cloud solution. We at Microsoft, we put enterprise-grade technologies together into a solution that can run both in your private data center as well as in our hyperscale data center. Right? So that's our vision. And if you look at the set of solutions that we have today, and these are our solution portfolio that address all those hybrid scenarios. In the hybrid cloud domain, both CPS, Cloud Platform System, and Azure Stack falls in that bucket. So now let's talk about what is CPS, and what the solution is about, what is composed of, and what are the solution options. Again, some of those, if you are familiar with CPS already, this may be a quick review for you, but hopefully it'll bring some new information to people who are still new to it. I want to bring out the Azure Stack today. We are at Technical Preview 2. So Azure Stack, the release that we have on the market today is not production support grade. So the solution that you're looking at on the slide, these are the production-ready solutions, right? Start from the fast track, the type of solution where you bring the software and your own hardware together. You can put together a solution to the CPS standard as well as CPS premium. These are the set of solutions that we have created together to offer CPS. let's drill into a little bit in detail as to what is the architecture, what are the software components that's composed of CPS. On the very bottom, you have the hardware, storage, compute, and network. And above that, we have Windows Server 2012 R2, technology like storage spaces, technology like Hyper-V, as well as our network virtualization is at the foundation layer. Just a quick note that the network virtualization is only available in CPS Premium, not available in CPS Standard. Moving up, the management layer is our System Center suite. Your System Center Data Protection Manager, System Center Virtual Machine Manager, Operations Manager. These components put together the management experience for Fabric, as well as some tenant experience. Moving up from there, then you have Windows Azure Pack. That's essentially the Azure consistency layer, provides not only the user experience, but also PowerShell layer consistency with Azure. So this solution provides a consistent Azure experience, both on the IaaS platform side, infrastructure as a service. It also has the capability to allow you to add additional PaaS services on top, things like SQL and MySQL as a service, as well as Service Bus and others. So that's kind of the architecture of that. Now let's drill into CPS Premium. CPS Premium solution is all Microsoft solution stack built on Dell hardware. Each rack, so the scale of CPS Premium is from one rack up to 4 racks. Each rack comes with 32 nodes, physical nodes, and 4 file server nodes, and 4 JBoss. Each rack comes with 512 cores, 8 terabytes of memory, 282 terabytes of usable storage. It weighs about 2,200 pounds. That's same size of a baby elephant. That's what Vijay used to call that. But that's essentially an integrated solution. Once it lands on your data center, it's fully deployed, ready to go. All you need to connect is the broader network. It comes with switches as well as the load balancers. The next one is CPS Standard. This is, compared with CPS Premium, it's a lot smaller solution. It starts with 3 or 4 nodes instead of a whole rack. And it grows up to 16 nodes for that solution. We worked with 3 partners on this solution where we're going to introduce you after in a little bit. The other interesting fact about CPS Standard is also we are working with a partner to take advantage of their software-defined data center technology as well, in the case of specifically around the storage area. And the last bit of kind of fact or interesting things about CPS Standard is, unlike CPS Premium, which is the hardware configuration is fixed, in CPS Standard, what we have done is we define a minimal configuration from a hardware perspective, and we let our partner to choose and define certain ratios between CPU, memory, and storage. So this is where you can see a little bit of variety across different offerings from our partners, and this is where if you need to scale your system asymmetrically, for example, where you can get some benefit. So now, after that, I'm going to switch gear to Walter, and I'll let him walk you through, let's see, once CPS is deployed, what is the tenant experience?
All right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Nope. Yes, the mic is on now. Thank you. Thank you, Shane. I'm Walter Oliver. I'm also a program manager in the Azure Stack team and the Windows Azure Pack team. So I'm one of those that are in both teams. I'm going to demonstrate the tenant experience for the CPS rack. You guys hear all what CPS is and what it consists of and the specs and so forth. One of the items in there is Windows Azure Pack. The portals that go on top of all that rack. So I will be a developer. I will go in there. I'm going to deploy an application. I'm going to take advantage of the environment. The second part of the demonstration will be on Azure Stack. And that will be later on in a few slides from now. And that one will be slightly different. I will be on the Azure Stack portal, not the CPS portal, not the web portal, but the Azure Stack portal. And from there, I'm going to access my CPS resources. And I'm going to be able to just go and connect to one of the VMs, grab my application, move it over to a new VM in Azure Stack, and deploy and test it there. So the whole idea is a developer who has an application, and thank goodness management came up with all these nice toys, and we're having fun with, right? So let's start with that. I hope you guys can see the screen. How many of you are familiarized with this screen? 1, 2, or about 40%, 30%? All right, great. So this is the tenant experience for Windows Azure Pack in CPS. And what I will be doing here is normally as a tenant, as a developer, I log in and I probably have a plan that my IT department already signed me up for, and I have resources automatically associated to it, but I might not. And for example, my IT department said that I should add a new subscription called Developer's Plan, because that one is the one that I'm going to be using for testing my applications. Of course, before the demo started, I already signed up for that one. The whole idea is that once you have that subscription, you can go ahead and create VMs. For example, you can go to create a VM from a gallery and select the particular one that you care about. You enter the data, the information you need. You select the plan that you want for that one. In this case, it's our developer's plan. Of course, again, I already did this before the demo started. I had that VM ready here. If I look at some of the details of the VM, you can see that I will be able to get a dashboard with some information about it. For example, the CPU percentage, usage, memory, storage I/O, network I/O, per seconds, and also information about how much less resources are there for that particular VM. Now, same occurs for the plans. I can go to my account and I can look at the subscriptions there, and I can see, okay, so what are the resources in that particular subscription that I could have beyond what I have already allocated? And yes, it will tell me exactly what are those resources and how far I am from reaching the limit for that. So I'm going to go ahead and connect to my virtual machine, and I'm going to deploy my application there. One more thing that is important is that I can create checkpoints of my VM at any one point so that I can save states. Okay, let's go ahead and connect. I'm going to RDP into it. All right, so this VM was created with IIS in it, so it's a web-based type VM, and it's very handy for me to try out my application. So this is the directory for IIS, so whatever application I drop in here, I will be able to access. So let's go ahead and get that application. So I have my files here. It's just a matter of, this is my laptop, by the way. Switching back to my CPS VM, I'm going to paste the files. I'm going to test that it works in this CPS VM. And now to test it, I need to run IE and go to localhost. I make sure that it actually works. And yes, indeed, it's there. So once here, as a developer, of course, I tested. I make sure that the features are there, and everything is working as I expected. All right, so this is pretty much what you're giving your developers once you provide CPS to them. The access to infrastructure that they can use whenever they need to for deploying their application, for testing, for development of their applications. Once you do this, you can go back to your portal, and you can see, once you deploy, for example, you can come here and say, well, I want to create a checkpoint because now I have an application that's important. So you enter your name and so forth, and that will spawn a process in creating the checkpoint. I already have one created there, so I won't do so. This is the basics of it. And now the next part of the demo will be no IWAP but in Azure Stack. And from Azure Stack, I'm going to be accessing the same VM that I created here in CPS. And I'm going to grab those files, move it over to Azure Stack VM, and see how it works there. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Walter. Thank you. So as you've seen, right, as you see from the demo, I think a couple of things popped up. One is you can log on to Azure Stack portal, Azure Pack portal by using an AD account. And as a matter of fact, the next demo you'll see how Walter can actually move to Azure Stack environment by using exactly same identity. I think that's one of the key issues. The second thing is not only the UI front is consistent with Azure, but also the PowerShell layer is also consistent with Azure. So now let's take a look at a few our partner solutions from a CPS standard point of view. First one is from Dell. They, I think one of the key things that highlights of the Dell solution is they're using, the Dell solution has Microsoft software-defined storage solution. It's a disaggregated configuration, meaning that you have a separate storage from your compute, and you can scale them asymmetrically. There are actually a few configurations that you can consider based on essentially your storage performance characteristics. You may choose different options. But the scale size is essentially the same, start from 4 nodes, maximum 16 nodes. And the next one up is our CPS solution, standard solution from HPE, HP Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. And one of the unique things about HPE's solution is the fact that we're integrated with HPE's virtual VSA solution, which is a software-defined storage solution from HP. And because of that, we're able to provide a hyper-converged architecture. Essentially what it means is the compute and the storage on the same physical node. In this model, you scale both your compute and your storage symmetrically. The configuration start from 3 nodes and scale all the way up to 16 nodes. Okay? And the third one is our CPS standard solution from Nutanix. And similar to HPE, Nutanix also have their software-defined storage solution. So in the case of CPS standard, we also take advantage and partner with Nutanix to bring Nutanix technology into CPS standard solution. And it's also a hyper-converged infrastructure in the sense that their compute and the storage on the same physical node, and you scale from 3 nodes up to 16 nodes. And across all these different solutions from our partners, one thing that's consistent is that we try to make the support experience consistent in the sense that it doesn't matter if you're ordering CPS Premium or CPS Standard solution, the support, there's always one person to call, one number to call, one throat to choke. We want to make sure that it doesn't matter if it's a hardware or software solution. It doesn't matter if it's a software or hardware problem. You always call one support number, and then we'll make sure that help you solve your issues collaboratively internally. Now, over the years, we have seen quite a few successful customer stories around how they're taking advantage of our CPS solution. And CGI is a global consulting firm where they help their customer to build private clouds. This is the quote from CGI, a solution architect, and they claim that they are able to reduce their deployment time, entire private cloud deployment time from 6 months down to 3 months, which is great. And on the opposite side, for service provider hosters, this one is from a Malaysian service provider, one of the largest local hosters in Malaysia. And they, after deployed a CPS solution, they were able to not only bring down their operational costs by 80%, but also they increased their sales because of the additional service they can provide to a customer by 120%. So another successful story. Now, among many other customer success stories, we believe Rogers is one of the has a very interesting case story to tell in the sense that they recently purchased CPS premium solution from us, and I'm super happy and honored to actually be able to invite one of our, their senior manager in their infrastructure architecture, Mr. Hani Mosa, to the stage and to share with us, their experience with CPS.
Hello.
Thanks, Mr. Mosa.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Can you hear me? Most important, can you see me? All right.
So let's talk about your experience so far. And what was the problem? What was the challenge that Roger was facing when you started looking at solution options, and how was CPS selected at the end?
So it's always the ability to respond to the business needs. That was really a challenge, like everybody else. The timelines it takes us to design and develop and deliver a solution. The unpredictable requirements from the business, and that's nothing different from any other enterprise. The cost, if you have an aged solutions, that would cost you close to $1 million for 1,000 users, or sub-million in OpEx. Those were all drivers and challenges that we started thinking, I need to switch to a CapEx model. I want to build a new, really a good ROI model and a good total cost of ownership that saves money and deliver on time. So those really the challenges, the big challenges from our perspective. But as we go, and let me tell you maybe before how we landed on the CPS, let me tell you we have a journey. We have a strategy. I own the cloud strategy, and we built a 3 years cloud strategy. Simply starting from the traditional IT at the data center, like everybody else, you have a mix of virtual farms, you have a mix of mainframes and bare metal. So we started the journey of let's virtualize and consolidate as much as possible. I have to choose the right technology in a CapEx model, no more, less OpEx, more CapEx. I need to purchase, I need to acquire. So we decided we want to land on a converged infrastructure. So anything I do now is going to be on converged. We made a few POCs, a few exercises, and landed on 2 different definitions to the workloads, and everything is workload driven. Mm-hmm. So a traditional workload to me is just a normal VM that either Windows or Linux. Specialized workloads that could entail database, VDI. In our solution, I have remote developers, I have remote testers, I have remote care center employees that need access to the system. And for that, we started thinking at that time, back a year ago, and from the inception of the CPS, we really were very close to the Microsoft Technology Center, and we saw real demos with Microsoft and the CPS powered by Dell at that time. We kept it in mind. A few months after, we started thinking, it's a Hyper-V. Based on my POC, really what won the POC was Citrix on top of Hyper-V. Mm-hmm. So we started thinking back to the CPS, brought the Microsoft, brought Dell, brought Citrix to the table. 2 days of negotiation, we ended up with a conceptual design. We put in the order for the premium, initially targeted 1 rack, ended up buying the 2nd rack through the order, so we followed immediately. The first rack to cross the borders to Canada was our order. The first Citrix on the CPS globally is built by us and by the esteemed vendors. And really, that was one of the most success stories that we think. So the decision was, I have an ecosystem. Mm-hmm. I am a Microsoft customer. I have my configuration manager. I have my AD. It's easy to integrate within the ecosystem. So really, that's what drove the decision.
Great, thank you. So to be honest, I think this cloud roadmap from Rogers is one of the most comprehensive and progressive ones. So I'm super impressed. Thanks. So now I'm glad that you select CPS as part of your journey. Now my understanding, you have 2 racks deployed.
Yes.
And so what is your deploying experience, as well as how the CPS has been helping you solving those business challenges that you were facing?
So if you go back to the main business challenge, which is the ability to deliver and deliver on time, if you compare this to the last slide from CGI, where they delivered and saved half the time, we saved 4 times the time to deliver. Really, my delivery times were higher than CGI for sure.
No competition there, by the way.
No competition. So we're really at a 400% faster time to deliver and stand up the environment from order to production. So that was a main win. I have to praise here the collaboration amongst the vendors, folks. It was scary initially to think of I'm dealing with 3 vendors sitting at the table. I ended up calling Microsoft. Anything that happens now, I call Microsoft. Dell partnered very well, but I don't have to call them. I call Microsoft. Microsoft will engage them, and there you go for the support. So that was really a major factor that made us feel good about the continuation. The growth and the adoption rate, and there are always funny stories there. I was part of the presentation for approval to get the money. And it's a multi-million-dollar investment, after all, between softwares and licensing and efforts and third-party customer service and professional services. And some of the folks that really opposed the solution at that time and opposed the investments, with their line of business units were the first to jump in the bandwagon. So the adoption rate really exceeded our expectations, by far maybe double. And what I expected to grow in 2 years, now I exhausted it in less than 8 months. So now I'm in a crunch at the 1,800 users, 1,800 VDIs to double, thinking either double on-prem or wait a few months and extend to the public cloud. So that's a decision to be made as soon as possible, because we really are a crunch at this point. So,
well, I guess whichever way you go, right, it's not a bad choice.
definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, I mean, this is really what brings joys to us as we're working on these solutions. These customer success really is what driven our engineers, that excited, working overtime over the weekend and night. We'd love to see more of these, and certainly want to see that some of you out there can take advantage of technology and bring your business to the agility and to the growth that we've seen from other customers. So going back to why CPS, right? I think the 3 things that pops up to me, at least. The number 1 is it's a ready now solution. It's available on the marketplace today. You should feel free to explore them, and it's a cloud-proven technologies. I know that 2012 R2 may sound a little age to you, but 2012 R2 really is a battleground tested technology. So in the sense that, hey, it's been tested not only across Azure, but across many class of customers. So the reliability and the performance is already guaranteed. It's also Azure consistent. So if you look at from the value perspective, what does it bring to you as an integrated system? It really brings 3 things. 1 is time to value. Right? We've seen this in CGI, we've seen this in Rogers, we've seen this in many places. It's quick, it's short. You can get to your production, get to your business value right away. We also provide a full lifecycle management experience, not only patching, but also not only deploying, but also patching and maintenance and through and many other things. And we bring a continued innovation on that. Okay, so that was CPS. Now let's talk about Azure Stack. We talked about these 2 different models, traditional IT model, the cloud model. And we talked about that both CPS and Azure Stack all belong to the cloud model bucket. And if you look at the, on the left-hand side, which is essentially the CPS, or can say is a WAP model based on Windows Server, System Center, and WAP. On the right-hand side, that's the Azure Stack. And one of the key points I want to make sure that you take away from this session is these 2 solutions will coexist even after Azure Stack release. Okay, so that's number 1. So I've heard questions concerned about, hey, is WAP going away? Is it going to be retired? Is it going to be discontinued? No. Okay, there's no plan to discontinue WAP or CPS at this point, right? So these two will coexist. Now, if you look at the actual use case or the scenarios for these two, there are some value and specific scenarios that actually very much applicable for you to use for CPS today. One is obviously important thing to consider is the timing. If you need something now, because Azure Stack GA is mid of next calendar year. If you need something now, CPS is a valid solution. Second thing is, if your main use case is around IaaS, infrastructure as a service, CPS is a very solid solution today. Now, however, on the flip side, if your intent is to say, I want to fully embrace the cloud model and also want to adopt or consider to adopt the cloud business model. Now, when I say cloud business models, what I mean is, this pay per use or this pay as you go business model, and some other related business implication of running the cloud model. And if you're a developer or your consumer expect to develop cloud native application that has dependency on, for example, Azure API or Azure PaaS services, this is where you need to wait or plan for Azure Stack mid of next calendar year. So now we're also investing in the area to make sure that we build bridge between these two solutions so we can preserve investment in the sense that you have a WAP, if you have a WAP or CPS deployment today, and if you also plan to build a Azure Stack environment next year, what we're going to provide you is something what we call a WAP connector. This component will be installed on your WAP deployment or CPS environment, and it will be connected to your Azure Stack environment. And you will have the single pane of glass be able to see, manage, and control your resources on both environments, right? Now, so what exactly is a WAP connector? It is again, like I said, connecting the WAP deployment environment to Azure Stack. B, enables access. This is not only the admin, but also tenant have access to the VMM IaaS resources in your WAP environment from your Azure Stack portal. So this is not only read access, you can actually take actions, for example, start, stop, snapshot, save state, things like that. And it will be released. It's not available in TP2. It will be released by the time of GA in mid of next year. It will be released in the form of a quarterly updates or roll-up updates to WAP. This is a component that you need to install on WAP, on the CPS, and not on Azure Stack. So, and what does this WAP connector mean to you as customer? If you are a hoster, what it means, or service provider, what it means to you is it will allow you to continue to build services or upsell your services on your existing WAP and CPS investment. Right? Continue to upsell that. If you're an enterprise customer, it allows you a single pane of glass to manage resources across these two environments. Right? And if you are a tenant user of your consumer of this cloud services, you will have the ability to access both environments with same identity. You can even move data and application across these. As a matter of fact, in the demo that Walter is going to come up next, he's going to show you how that can be accomplished. Now, we talked about one of the critical component of enabling this connecting or coexisting strategy is being able to access both environments with the same identity. So this is sort of the matrix of how we're envisioning this can be accomplished. Right? So once Azure Stack is released in the middle of next year, if your decision is to say, I'm going to build my Azure Stack environment based on AAD, then it doesn't matter which option you're using today on your WAP or CPS environment. Essentially, the integration point is going to be at AAD. If your plan is to say, I'm going to deploy my Azure Stack next year in a submarine, or I don't want to use AAD, I want to use ADFS. In that case, there are actually different integration points that you need to plan for. Depends on what you have today in your WAP or CPS environment. So this slide, I mean, you can read the slide offline, but this is essentially kind of the matrix of how you could think about and plan for the identity integration side. Now, next, I'm going to bring Walter back on stage, and he's going to show us how does the web connector works.
All right, thank you, Shane.
All right.
That was awesome. Well, thank you. Making sure that Hello recognizes me with my glasses on. All right. So the first demo, we were on the Windows Azure PAC portal. That means the CPS environment that my organization got for us. And I allocated a VM in there. I was able to deploy my application. I was able to test my application. Remember, my role is that one of a developer right now. Now I'm told that we bought an Azure Stack. And we plug it into our data center. So now we have two racks, CPS, Azure Stack. They are both on the data center. They are sharing a layer 3 network. That allows me for various different type of things. One thing that I want to do right now, of course, very simple, is actually bring the same application that I had in CPS, bring it over to Azure Stack, a VM in Azure Stack, and test it, see how it works. So here, notice this little combo box here on the left top side. It says cloud. What that means is that there will be clouds listed there. In this case, there are two, Azure Stack and Azure PAC. Now, there might be organizations that deploy more than one Azure PAC deployments. They all could be shown there. I could access resources to all of them. All right, so if I go ahead and select Azure PAC, for example, you notice that the links here change. Now they are all WAP-based links because of CPS. I click on virtual machines, and I should be able to see, yes, there they are. I'm able to see the same machines that I had in my CPS UI. Now, this is the one that I deploy my VM, my application into, so I'm going to be doing things to that one. I want to show you also the fact that it shows me the subscriptions that I have in CPS as well. Remember that I had two subscriptions. One was the tenant subscription, and the other one was the developer subscription. Well, there they are, and I can obviously explore the features in it. So now, having been here, one of the things that I find very handy to do is that if I'm interested in this particular VM, I probably will want to keep a link of it on my dashboard so that it's easy for me to access it whenever I want. So for example, there is this monitoring diagram. I'm going to pin that one to my dashboard, and that way I have this CPS app VM available to me in my dashboard whenever I click on that. What that means is I go to my dashboard, and there it is. I can see it right away. Notice that I had already had a link to all my virtual machines in WAP, so I can access it then very quickly. All right, so I have that. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect to this particular one. All right. There it is. Let me go and grab my application, the one that we deploy there. All right, there it is. I just need to grab the files, and here they are. Remember, I was in Azure Stack. I connected to a VM in Azure, in CPS. Sorry. All right, so now I can go to my cloud, my Azure Stack cloud, access the VM that I have in there, and deploy my application. I have obviously prior to the demo, I had already deployed a VM. It takes some time to do it during the demo, so I'll do so ahead of time. Here it is. Oh, by the way, notice that I'm interested in this particular VM, right? Azure Stack VM. I may want to ping it to my dashboard as well, so I have quick access to it. All right, so having me here, I can go ahead and connect. IDO command. All right. So here's my IS directory. Let's paste all the files that I had. Is it gonna go? Now, again, this is the Azure Stack VM. So since it's Azure Stack, I'm gonna do a little change here to my application just to make sure that I don't forget which app I'm looking at or which particular. Oh, okay, I have that already. Okay, perfect. I have that done. All right, so that it shows up accordingly. So when I go to test my application, and there it is, Azure Stack VM. Perfect. And of course, I can test it whenever, any way I want it. I'm happy with it. I can do things to it now in Azure, no problem. If I go to my dashboard, I can see that I have my links are there. So I have my Azure App VM here. I have my CPS App VM monitoring for CPU. And I have a link to all my WAP or CPS VMs right here that I can access right away whenever I want. There they are. I can put another link to this, and this makes my life easier to access them whenever I need to. And there it is. The Azure and the CPS, I can connect to them very quickly. So notice I did it all seamlessly. I didn't have to log in, and that's because my organization set it up in a way that I did not have to change any credentials. It's the same credential, it's trusted across the two systems, and it makes it very simple for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Walter.
Thanks.
Good job. Thank you. All right. That was awesome. I like it. I think this will actually bring a lot of confidence in people's mind as to, hey, if I'm thinking about CPS or WAP today, would I be left on an island when Azure Stack comes out, right? I think our answer is, don't be afraid. And you have us on your back to make sure that your investment today, regardless of CPS or WAP, there will be a way, there will be a path for you to move to Azure Stack, right? So with that, I think we're actually at the end of our session. But before we go to Q&A, I want to make sure that we call a few things. Please come and visit us at the Microsoft booth in the Expo Hall. We have both Azure Stack as well as CPS systems in our booth, so you can check them out and assess and evaluate where you are in terms of your journey to cloud and determine whether or not CPS is the right solution for you, or you have to plan for Azure Stack for next year. Make that determination. If you believe it is a good thing, it is a feasible plan for your business, please reach out to our partners, Dell, HP, Nutanix, to assess CPS, the opportunity to assess a POC, because these are the solution available today on the market. And please give us feedback as to concerns and questions and whatever feedback you may have around that. This session is highlighted in yellow. The session above this table is the one that has already happened. You can feel free to go online and look them up, or watch the recorded video offline. And then the sessions below this one are all the Azure Stack session that's about to happen. So we definitely welcome you all to attend the rest of the sessions at Ignite. And these are the resources for IT Pro. And please do fill out evaluation. We love to hear your feedback so we can make sure that going forward we'll be able to cater this session for you in the future. With that, I'm going to open up for Q&A. Questions? Yes. So let me repeat the question because I'm not sure if everyone hear you. Is your question about System Center 2012 R2 and whether or not that will be discontinued? Yeah, absolutely. So the support for System Center 2012 R2 is standard support 5+5. And from the time when it released, there's 5+5 years support there. The question is, at that point, would it just be passed? There's no more new functionality. Correct. Well, yes and no, because I personally don't own the System Center, their update strategy. Probably best suited to ask System Center teams. But my understanding is that in the past, I've seen they release new capabilities through their patches. Because honestly, the entire Microsoft is moving to a model where we do continuous release model where we release new capabilities through the patch model. So, but System Center, you should definitely sync up with System Center team and ask that question. Okay. Yes. So the question is, Windows Azure Pack's support ends in July 2017. Will we supply additional patch after that? Walter, you want to answer that question?
So the Windows Azure Pack, as it is right now on Windows Server 2012 and System Center 2012, will reach the end as those technologies are going to reach their end. After that, there is Windows Server 2016 and System Center 2016. Windows Azure Pack runs on top of that stack. At that point, you will see the same 5+5 that goes along with the rest of the stack. 2016. Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, question? So the question is, will you see CPS offering based on Windows Server or System Center 2016 baseline? We have no plan at this point to upgrade the fabric software component of CPS to 2016. Remember, this doesn't mean that you cannot deploy Server 2016 VMs onto the CPS platform. So your host and your infrastructure can be still on 2012 R2, but your guest can still run 2016. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
So the plan is to allow migrating workloads, not copying and pasting app code from CPS to Azure.
The question is, will there be migration tools aside from copy and paste files from Windows Azure Pack to Azure Stack? So I guess good question. The migration tool path, there's multiple tools both from Microsoft as well as from a third party can be leveraged for that purpose. One of which I can point you right now is Azure Backup or ASR solution where you can migrate the VMs over to Azure if that's your final destination. But if you're thinking about just migrating straight from Azure Pack to Azure Stack, you may have to look for a third-party software solution at this point.
And that's the current thinking. Obviously, we're open to your feedback.
Right.
We want to listen to that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear that. And this is how we can help us to make a prioritization decision in the future. Yes. Mm-hmm. So the question is, ASR has the capability of migrating VMs from, for example, VMware to Azure. And once the VM is in Azure, it's supposed to be kind of consistent VM model managed by ARM, by the Azure resource managers. Why can't ASR then be able to move the VM down to Azure Stack? So the short answer is, it is certainly in our longer term roadmap, but we don't have committed plan today to say, here is the solution today. So today it doesn't work because it does require our investment to make sure that the module runs on ASR today in Azure, works on Azure Stack. And from a technology point of view, there's still a few dependencies we have to figure it out before we can make that fully functional. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's just like, today in Azure portal, you still have this legacy portal where you have a bunch of legacy services running on the older Azure portal, and there's a new portal, Ibiza-based portal framework, where the newer services are running on that. Even inside of Azure, there's a migration plan for those services to move to the new model. Azure Stack is built based on the newer app model. Does that make sense?
To clarify something there, however, ASR, the scenario you formulated is possible right now. Obviously, you can move on your VMs all the way to ASR, and ASR you can move it down to Azure Stack. However, it's not practical, right? I mean, we're talking about, yeah.
We can certainly talk about other things. I mean, if a customer, the main intent is to move from one on-prem to another on-prem, I'm not sure we have to go through the public, right? So, but the key thing is whether or not the technology is ready to do that. I mean, technology will be able to do that, whether this is really about prioritization and resourcing and scheduling. So, I mean, this is where we love to hear our customer feedback on this, how important that is to you and to your scenario, to your business. This is why we love to hear from you. So tell us what you think. There's user voice. There's also many other channels that you can provide the feedback to us. Yes, question? Uh-huh. So let me put it this way. We are evaluating options, and we like to hear your feedback. We don't, as of today, we don't.
Oh.
Do you want to use the mic?
VHD, VHDs are, I think the place where there's the question, how do you get a VMware VM migrated to? Okay, sorry, I missed that one. Could you ask the question again?
Oh, so was it if you've got 5,000 VMs running on the CPS, you stand up Azure Stack, why can't we, or will we be able to move those workloads in an automated fashion from CPS to Azure Stack? Because I'm not going to necessarily go and have dev or ops redeploy applications to one or the other. I just want to move workloads.
Yeah, that's a valid scenario, and yeah, we'll definitely look into solution options. Yep. So the question is about, what about the PaaS services that's running on CPS or on the web today? Database as a service and website as a service. What happened to those resources, right? The question is like that. So I think we need to take that feedback, and we'll come back with the answer.
Yeah, at the moment the connector is on the IaaS.
And love to get your contact information and understand your current investment scale, as well as your portfolios. And we may have to stay in touch and
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Offline.
Get the contact information.
Yep. Any other questions? Going once, twice. We're actually 15 minutes ahead of schedule. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. Thank you.